Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's stop that. Let's stop that right away. Is there anyone here? Happy Sunday. I am doing some crayon rubbing. Hello, Laura. Kathleen, are you here? Are you here? Hello, hello. Anyone else here? Let's use some other colors. I don't know if Kathleen is here. I was wondering the same thing. I am not sure what is going on there. It's a happy Tuesday, everyone. And I thought I would just do some crayon rubbing on this flip-flop while I waited for people to get here. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Shelly and Susan. Hello, Miss Vicky. Jennifer. Gloria. Did I say Tuesday? It's Happy Sunday, right? Happy Sunday? Did I say Tuesday? I'm so confused. I could have said Tuesday. Happy Sunday. It's Anything Goes Book Sunday. And we're going to play around with some watercolor stuffs today. And I just wanted to do Sunday. Yes, I did say it's Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. It's just a habit, you know. I'm an old dog. New tricks do not come easily. Sundays are new for me. So I don't say Sunday very often. Sorry. So that is a crayon rubbing on my flip-flop here. And maybe I'll do the other one, the other paper a little bit more. Happy Sunday. Jeez. At least I'm here. Okay, this is very light, but it's on there, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. We're going to play with various watercolor, and I have been, I don't know if I'm having an allergy attack or, uh-oh, I just snapped my crayon, or I don't know what, but my voice seems to be going. I might need some more water here. I only have half a thing of water. I might need some more. I guess I will cross that bridge when I get there. So I'm using my flip-flops to do a little crayon rubbing. And what's going to go with that beige? Should we do green? Yeah. And then we'll do some washes over this. So I just want to do some various, since we've been doing our prompt cards, I thought we would do some watercolor things that you could add to your cards if that's what you're doing. Watercolors are one of my favorite ways to put color on a page. So I am going to show some of the different things that I do. Hi Cheshire, hi Raven, hi Suzanne, hi June. Struggling with sound? Am I not loud enough? Hi guys. All right, so there I go, already choking a little bit. Is the sound bad? Is the sound bad? Okay. So here is the Anything Goes book that I have been working on, playing in on the streams, and it is getting pretty full. So I will do a few other things in this today. And when I have too many wet pages, I will just work on some pages. So watercolors, I love watercolors. I love crayons. I don't use the pencils, watercolor pencils, very often. I do use watercolors. I guess you would call these liquid watercolors, the stuff that has water in them already. And I use, well, I use the metallics here. These are Prang metallics, and they are really good. I use them quite a bit. I've got some backups when this one is all finished. I use these a lot as well. So since I've got these open, okay, open, I am going to spritz a little bit of water in some of these colors. Maybe pour a little bit of water just so that they can soften up a little bit. Soften up just a tad so we can use them. Okay, sound is good. Sound is good. All right. Well, welcome June from the UK. Say, I love these. Yeah, I love these. I've used them quite a bit. And while those are getting all nice and soft and juicy and stuff, I wanted to show some of the papers that we did with the acrylics. That was Tuesday, right? Hello, Linda. I think I stamped a little bit on this one. This is some junk mail that I did some painting on Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, right? We did some scraping paint of acrylics, acrylic paint scraping, and here's my favorite one with the stencil and the gold paint. You can see the pattern still. It's all nice and dry now. But this is using a stencil, a thin stencil, with a soft brush, and you use any kind of paint. I like metallics for this. I don't know why. You use a soft brush and push the paint underneath the stencil. And the stencil kind of corrals the paint. And if you lift the stencil straight up off the paper, it leaves this little bit of texture where the stencil was touching the paper, and you pushed all that paint. The stencil captures it, holds it there, and if you dry it that way, you can still see the pattern of the stencil. So I love that, and I wanted to show that to you. Hi, Emma. It really is. It's a really cool technique. That was a loud motorcycle, and I do really enjoy that a lot. So here are some of those papers, and I think I'm gonna sneeze. I think I'm gonna add a little bit of watercolor colors to some of these pages because they seem a little bit white. Excuse me. That one stuck up on me. I'm going to sneeze again. I don't know what it is. It must be something in the air. Maybe I got rained on yesterday. Maybe I have been rained upon. So I think this one needs a little bit of watercolor. Here's the string. Thank you. No, she is not Mad Rat Emma. She's just an Emma. She doesn't even know that Emma. This one I thought was really kind of turned out interesting. And I don't think I want to do a whole lot to it, except, and I thought I would do this. I love the way that showed up. And this was acrylic paint, and while it was still fairly wet, put a stencil over it and a baby wipe and wiped away some of the color. So that showed up really nicely after it dried. Just, I love that. But I thought I would add a little bit, let's figure out how this stencil works here. There we go. A little bit of gel pen. Oh, I'm going to sneeze again. For some accents, some shimmer accents. Yeah, like that a lot. So let me do that with all these other ones. And I am going to put this in the pile for painty papers. I am trying to get some painty papers together. Working on it. I am working on it. I don't have much space in this room. So when I get a lot of papers, well, if I get 5 or more papers wet at one time, that's about all the space I have for drawing. So I have to stop. Oh yeah, I just love that. And so I'm not getting them done as quickly as I would like to get them done. Okay, where does this one go? Doesn't seem right. How did I have that? There we go. That's the way it was. So I have to stop after I do a few pieces of paper and wait for the ones I've done to dry, because I just don't have a place to put stuff to dry. I just don't have that room. And then when I do get stuff painted and put it out, I've got no workspace, because I am using all my workspace for drawing area. So I have to stop what I'm doing and not do anymore. So it's a little slow going, more slow than I had hoped. Oh, you got your fish bits. Happy dance, happy dance. Fish bits came. Let's get focused. Well, let's look, see what that did. Just outlining that little bit there really made that stencil pop. So I really like that. So I am having some trouble getting the painty papers done because I don't have a whole lot of room to do them. So I am working on it. Come on, let's focus. Focus. Thank you. So I am going to call that one done. I like that. I don't know, there's something about that one I just like. All right. I'm going to sneeze again. I'm so sorry. So these are, I don't know if that one needs a little bit of a wash on it, but I'm kind of liking the way that looks. That one needs a little bit of something. And I think that one needs a little bit of something. I have to decide here. Not quite sure. All right. Sorry. All right. So maybe if I put a little bit of, sorry, my space is so small, I cannot have a lot of stuff out at one time. So I think what I'm going to do is, you guys saw, I just want to say happy Sunday. Now that I know that it is actually recording. Happy Sunday. Glad you're all here. Hi, Kathleen. I don't know if you were here when I said hi to you. Hi, Lucky. It's Anything Goes book. I'm kind of messing around with all kinds of different kinds of watercolors. And I think I am just going to put a little bit of gold shimmer in some places here. Yeah, and I think that's all it needs, is just a little shimmer, and this metallic, praying metallic set would just give just enough shimmer to make it kind of cool. And now I got to decide where I'm going to put wet paper. The one thing I like about watercolors, oops, I got some green in there, is they don't stick when they're wet. So I can actually kind of stack these on top of each other and not have to worry about them sticking while they dry. And that goes for books too. And I think that's why I enjoy watercolors so much. So I think that is just what this one needed. I don't know if you can see tube watercolors and pan watercolors. Okay, I get it. That it makes perfect sense. Thank you. So I just added a little bit of the metallic shimmer to that, and that is going to be fine for this one. And I'm going to go let it dry. I kind of wanted to do painty papers, or some of these painty papers, on a stream or video so you can see them being done. And this one's kind of cool. So you guys can see them being done. It kind of is, it's kind of fun to see papers being done and then finding them in a pack somewhere later. So let me see, where am I going to be able to put stuff? Sorry, trying to rearrange some stuff. Like I said, I have got very little room here. Very, very little. So I'm going to go back to these two. I just did, and these are regular crayons. These are Crayola or Rose Art, one of the two. Crayons. So they're wax crayons. So I did the rubbing with my flip-flop, and I did my two different flip-flops. I've got this one. Hi, Betty. And I've got the one that I've had forever that I really like. And I did a light color. So the trick with this is contrast. If you're doing a light color crayon, you want dark paint to go over it. If you're doing dark crayon, you want light paint to go over it. You want it to contrast enough so that you can see the pattern. The wax does make a resist on the paper, so you can see if you do, you know the, what are they called? The egg dyes, a lot of times will come with a wax crayon that's completely clear, see-through. It's not white, but it's see-through. You can do that on a colored piece of paper, and that color will show through because the wax stops the watercolor from getting to the paper in that spot. So, since these pans are nice and juicy right now, I'm going to use this green and do a wash over, and you can kind of see it beating up and the wax is resisting the watercolor. Hello, Anne. Happy Ray. Hi, Aurora. I'm putting out too many videos, am I? That's the first time I've heard that. Can't keep up. Uh-oh. Putting out too many videos. Is everybody else complaining I'm putting out too many videos? So you can see, oh, I'm not focused. Not focused. See if we can get focused. Hello, Pamela. Boy, we got lots of people here today. Come on, focus. Thank you. You can see the pattern on this one. Not too many. Not very many people complain that I put too many out. That's funny. That's funny. All right, I'm just going to color this whole thing with this color and maybe put some highlights with some different ones. A little less color over here just to so we can see what's going on. So I like that. You can see that. And then I am going to, I thought I would, but there's not enough water in there. There we go. Do some water droplets. Let's put some more water in there so it's nice and watery. I finally found my ice cube tray and I will use that. So that's too watery. I just want some splats. There we go. Some splats, so we can splat with watercolor. Make sure there's enough splats to make it interesting. And I'm going to let that dry for just a minute and maybe come back to it. Hello, BJ. Did I say hello to you? Laura and Linda. Gloria. I have the praying glitter. I do have the praying glitter as well. I do. I don't like the glitter as much. I also have a glitter paint. It's a child's glitter watercolor, and I've had this probably 15 years and don't even remember what brand it was, but I would like to use it up. I also have the Up and Up. That's the Target brand, and I have not even used these yet. And I do believe these could be Crayolas or they could be Prang. I'm not sure which one those are. And then I've got better quality ones. I've had these for quite a while, made in Germany. They're a little bit better quality. I have got so many different kinds of pans. It's not even funny. Yes, I do have all of those. So I was just visiting these for a minute. I don't want to get all these out because I wanted to have enough time to get to all the other kinds of watercolor fun that we can have. So if you're doing your lists for your prompt cards, your prompt tags, crayon rubbings with a color wash over. And this is kind of boring so far, but I'm going to let this dry and see what happens here. Okay? Oh, and then I've also got for the pans, I've also got one of the Jane Davenports that I haven't opened yet either. Yeah, I like watercolor, so things appear without me meaning for them to appear. Let me pour some water into these glitter paints here, and I'm going to use the green, oops, that was too much, green and the purple. Green and the purple. And maybe the yellow, since I got paint on there. Let's get those all nice and juicy. In the meantime, I don't really want blue on these pages. So I'm going to just do color washes on some of these that I stamped earlier. Just for some color. Just for some color. I love just putting a color wash on things. It really just changes the whole thing. And I love my shiny metallics. You know I do. Dab it and all that good stuff. And here's another wet one I'm going to have to put on the other side over there. Okay? So if you're doing your prompt tags, trying to kill two birds with one stone here, a color wash over your elements would be good. Crayon rubbing with a wash over the top is another prompt card. So those are all real good. Another one, maybe if it's juicy enough, is drips and splatters. Drips and splatters. So if you put some piles of watercolor down and let them drip and roll around. It makes it fun too. dripping and splattering and tipping and what ink did I, for this I used, for the black, it was an archival black, and for the teal was archival teal. So the inks won't move. I did not use my usual distress inks. I used stuff that was going to stay put. Stay put ink, so that I could do some color washes over, and I knew that the stamping would stay there. Just like that. So there's some splattering, and I'm going to put this to the side, and I will show you what that looks like when it's dry. Maybe it will dry tonight. Another thing that you can do is make a pool. Various colors. I'm doing this on a plastic mat. You can do it on a silicone mat or whatever you've got. So just put some color down and put your paper down in the ink and kind of rub the pigment into the paper. Of course, I try to get as much of it up as possible. So you got splotchy bits of color here and there, and I'm just going to let that one dry too. Actually, let me put a little bit more green down here. Because I don't think I got enough green on it. Put the green up here. A little bit of variation there. So I'm going to let that one dry, and I'll probably put another bit of color on it. So, and now I've got a mess here, so I'm going to clean that up because it's dry. So I do love to just add color to the pages. Just add some color, and I should have gotten just a regular I'm going to use a little bit of tube paint. I've got this cheap watercolor tube paint here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of water to a little bit of it and do a plain wash. And hopefully it will dry fast. Where can I put it so that it will dry quickly? I'm going to use this is a dry brush. It's green because I used green on it last, but it's not really, doesn't really have green on it. And I'm just going to mix that so it's really, really soupy, and just going to add just some color to the page like that. I probably should have done it in blue or purple or something, but I'm going to let that dry. And I wonder if, yeah, do some of this on here as well, some of the glitter paint. Because I like to, and I don't think I did get that pink. We'll add some pink. This is one thing that I love about watercolors is adding another color and watching it move. So I'm going to get these orange and yellows down here. And kind of let it soak in. This works much better on watercolor paper, just saying, but it can also work in your art journals. If you don't add too much water, your pages won't buckle too much. It's kind of why I like doing it on separate pieces of paper. But I'm going to do it in my Anything Goes book here a little bit and see what happens. And see how badly my pages wrinkle. It's kind of a test. So I've got this pink, and I want to add quite a bit. There we go. Here's some spattering in wet paint. And you can see how the color, how it bleeds out and makes these really cool designs. And you can see those little beads right there. That was on dry watercolor paper, so it didn't bleed in. So you can see the difference between wet on wet and wet on dry. So I'm going to let that dry and do some more things with it a little bit later. So those are just color washes and spattering and that kind of stuff. Love the spattering in wet paint. Yes, yes, I do like that too. So I've got some paint out here. It's all wet and juicy. So we're going to do some experiments and see how badly this distorts the book. We'll do the pink, since I've got pink on this brush. We'll do some pink wash in here. And it's almost dried up. Now I did get my playing card prompts out so that I could go down the list for that, and then of course I haven't done that. Like that a lot. So I'm going to also add some yellow. Ooh. And this is the glitter paint, so it's going to have some shimmer in it when it dries. Watercolors do feel less messy. I think the thing of them is they don't stick so badly. You don't have to clean them all off your stencils and stuff because you're worried that it's going to be on there forever. Watercolors are a little bit more freeing to me. I like watercolors. I really do. I like playing with them. I like adding color with them. I enjoy them a whole lot, and they do make me feel a little bit more at ease. I'm not so worried about them. So that is just adding a little bit of wet watercolor. It is more simple. Watercolors are more simple. For some reason, they really aren't, but they are. I didn't use a Sharpie to write, and my words are starting to run. I don't remember what marker I used. I think it was those new Ikea markers. So now my words are running, but that's fine. So that's one way to add a color to a page, and we'll see when it dries how wrinkly it is. And I'm going to actually turn the page and not worry that it's going to stick. I'm not going to worry about it. So that is a lot of the stuff that I do with the pan watercolors. And I've got a mess going on over here because I spilled that water. So let's see if I can clean up my mess. And I never did use the purple or the blue or the green. So maybe I should put those somewhere. Let's put the green or the blue right here. Or the purple, just to add a little bit of color to this page. Yeah. And that's quite a bit of water. You don't have to add quite this much water. I did do quite a bit. And I'm going to put green over here since it's all nice and juicy. And there's a lot of pigment on this one because I have let it set. So it's not as watery, but it's got a lot of pigment to it. So that is nice. I just might add all this green. It's just the perfect consistency. Maybe a little purple down here. Uh-oh, I'm making mud. I added the green and the purple. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. Making mud. Oh well. So I'm going to let that dry and see what happens. Like that. Hello, Luana. So there is that. And I've gotten most of the water off of that so I can put that aside and not worry about it spilling all over the place. And I'm going to put those aside too. And I am going to move on to watercolor crayons and watercolor pencils. I don't have as many pencils. I like the crayons better because they're smooshier. They add more color. Really like those. And I want to go with the crayons first because let's go to some dry pages. Well, this would be a perfect place to put some of those kinds of things. I have got a ton of watercolor, water-soluble types of media, lots of them. I have the gelatos, I have oil pastels that are water soluble, I have the Neocolor 2s, I've got, what are these? Faber-Castell Creativity for Kids. They must be some kind of color stick. And I guess I'll start with those since I found the red. These are nice. For just adding a little bit of color and not worrying about having to add water. They smear, which is nice. Here, I'll show you. This is it unsmeared, and right underneath it is smeared, rubbed in, which is it really is nice. These are nice and creamy is the word. So you can see how, come on. I have a lot of cheap ones I would like to use up. Come on. Come on. It does not want to focus. Why doesn't it want to focus right now? Hello, Linda. All right. Focus. And I won't move. Come on. What's the problem here? Hi, Anna. We're just playing. Whenever you decide that you can be here. Why isn't this thing focusing? Ugh. Ugh. Come on. You can do it. Thank you. So I guess I better just work down here. So I like these because they're nice and creamy. I can add color to different places. And I will add the color first. Just like that. And then I can use my finger to blend it in. Or I can use a damp brush. And I like to use one that's kind of stiff. Damp brush, I've just gotten that wet. Taken off most of the water, and then you can actually spread them around with the water, which is nice too. Another thing that you can actually do is get a wet brush and actually take the pigment off the crayon, and not too much water, and paint with it that way. Obviously this one doesn't work that well this way, but usually they will. So you can add a little bit of color that way. And I forgot to get my gesso out, because another thing that you can do with paints, let me grab my gesso really fast. And I just have a cheap one. I don't really like the gesso, so I'm trying to use it up. I've been trying to use it up for a long time. And I'm just going to put a little bit in one of these. In one of these little ice cream cube trays. And get my brush. And use the gesso to smear the color. You can see how that works. See how that's smearing very nicely. You can do scribbles like this one here and blend out the scribbles so you can kind of see the scribble underneath. So that gesso will kind of smear. If you add a little bit more water, it smears it a little bit more. And it adds a little bit of a white tint, so it makes the red into pink. Makes all the colors a little bit more pastel. So it really does, it just makes it a little bit different. Blends everything really nicely. And you can do that with any kind of crayons. I don't have the red, Neo 2s, but these are just a water-soluble crayon. And here's my lid. And I've got quite a few different types of this thing, these kinds of things. I have the Recollections, and these are shimmery. Love those a lot. I'm going to put these away. But they work pretty much the same way. Some are just better than others. Some have better colors than others. Some spread a little bit better. It just depends on what you're looking for. These do have a wonderful, wonderful shimmer to them, which is nice. Just to add a little bit of shimmer with your color. So that is that. And I love these Recollections. What do they call them? I think they call them shimmer sticks, actually. Love them a lot. And I don't use these enough, so I need to make a tag that says use them, because I forget about them. Even though they're right here, I forget about them. So I've got some shimmer in places. And I also have in here slick sticks, and I believe that those are water soluble as well. And I don't know how to open them. There we go. This one's black. This one's black. So let me just do that. And add some water and see what happens. Let's see what happens with those. I need a brush. Let's get another brush out. Let's use all the brushes today. The shimmer sticks are Recollections. I find those at Michael's. It's a Michael's brand. And I don't remember what section I found them in. I want to say it was near where Tim Holtz has his stuff. So, because I think I came across them accidentally and had a coupon and decided to use the coupon on them. So they are water soluble. These are Crayolas. And I'm just smearing them with a little bit of the water. For a different kind of effect. That makes those squares very black. So I've got so many different kinds of watercolor crayons and sticks and that kind of thing. I love them. Here's another set that I got from Barnes & Noble. I love them a lot. A lot. So, and again, I can just turn the page and not worry about that sticking. Love that. Love that. Here's something that I like about watercolor crayons. You can make, or you can put color on the page. And I'll put some, is this a darker blue? Yeah. Some dark blue on there. These are the Neo 2s. Neocolor 2s are water soluble. The Neocolor 1s are just wax crayons. So I also have, well, I'll get into those in a second. I also have watercolor sparkle gel crowns. I think I got these at Barnes & Noble as well. They also shimmer. We can play with those in a second. These will smear with just your finger, with the oils on your finger. Or you can put a little bit of water on your finger and use that. Didn't have very much there, so there we go. To soften up those colors. Or you can use a brush. A damp brush will soften those colors as well. And you can see the difference between all three of those. How much water you put with them depends on how it smears. Yeah, the Neo ones, if you get just Neocolor crayons, you're getting wax crayons. You might as well get Crayola. The Neocolor 2s are the water soluble. So if you are getting them, just keep that in mind. Don't spend a lot of money on something that you don't want. So these are sparkle sticks. And again, oh, they have a nice shimmer to them. A real nice shimmer to them. Now I can just leave it this way. Wow. These are real nice. You see the shimmer on those? Ugh. Oh. So let me get a damp brush. Wipe the water off of that. And just oh, I guess I need a little bit more water. There we go. And make it look like watercolors. Ah, I like that a lot. They are really nice and shimmery. These are I'm sure I got these at Barnes & Noble. Maybe Books A Million. But I want to say it was Barnes & Noble. So if we put some shimmer over here with the non-shimmery ones. So we can see a little bit of water. Really pretty. Really, really pretty. I like it. Of course, I like a little shimmer. I'm a shimmer girl. Really nice. Really, really nice. I have got more of these. And now I'm kind of curious what they will look like. So let me put some color on some of these leaves. Very loosely like that, and get a damp brush and color my leaves. Like that. So it gives it a watercolor look with shimmer. Like the way that looks. So, like that. Uh-oh, we're out of focus again. Had to show. I had to show. I had to show it. So let me do one of the other colors. Because that's really pretty. And I can actually just color in with this color. Let's see what happens when I put a little bit of water on my finger and blend it that way. Let's do this one. So it's not too watery. And this one. All right. A little bit of water on my finger. Just to blend it together. I like it. I'm having a hard time. My fingers are too fat for the points. Oops. Not so much water on this one, just to see if it's any different. Kind of blend it in. And it is kind of different. I like the way that looks. It's very, very shimmery. Very shimmery. So, seems like I need to get some more color on some of the other leaves here, and I'm going to go for purple. Let's do purple. Ooh, that's a pretty purple. I don't always love the purples that come in these. Oh, but this one is nice. Really nice. Oh, yes. Yes, yes. I'm a purple girl. And it's really kind of, they're smooth. They blend nicely. Oh. Oh, dear. I need to use these more often. Definitely. So I am going to do, when I do my tags, I am going to do a tag for each and every brand of watercolor sticks that I've got, just to remind myself to use them. And this one, I'm going to use a light blue here. And I am going to outline it with purple and see what happens. I like it. So let me outline this one with a little purple. And maybe this one. Like I said, I'm doing a lot of these pages, these painted papers here. Make a red one. There's no red, it's pink. So I don't want to add pink to this. There is no red sparkle. Isn't that they've got two different peachies, two different pinks, a yellow, two purples, two blues, two greens, and a silver. No red. I don't understand that. A lot of these papers are going to be in the paper packs when I get them all put together. So oh, look at the shimmer on that. There is no red. There is no red. My fingers are dirty here. Let me get some finger cleaning going on. There's no red. Isn't that sad? There's no red, because the red probably would have been out of control cool, huh? Probably out of control coolness. Let's see here. This one is almost dry. You can see the splotchy, you can see the pattern underneath, but I don't want to use that one. I'm let's use this one. This one's almost dry. And you can see where the dry spots are really spotty, and the wet, my dirty fingernails, sorry, and the wet ones are very, very watery and they bled a little bit. So that's what is that is all about. Uh-oh, out of focus again. So another thing that I like to do with the crayons, come on, behave yourself. Behave yourself. Thank you. Is I like to, and we can probably use the pink, what's supposed to be red, since there's pink on here. We'll come back to the sparkle ones for this little experiment. We'll come back to these because these were fun. All right, how did I open it? There it is. I like to stamp. We're running out of time. I've got so many more. We got pencils to work with. We've got the tube ones to work with. So much to show and so little time. I don't want this one. I want, let's do checkerboard. Now, I don't know if this will work, so let me do one that I know will work. I'm going to use the Neocolor 2s, which is water-soluble crayon, and I am going to rub the color on a rubber stamp. Just like that. Not done it on this one. Spritz it with a little bit of water and stamp with it. You get a watercolor effect. It's not a clear stamp. It's not a crisp stamp. But it is kind of fun. We'll use all that up. And let's try that with the sparkle crayons. Let's wipe that down. Let's try it with the sparkle crayon, the sparkle sticks, the watercolor gel crayons. Sparkle might be the brand name. And let's just see if it works with these. Okay, rubbed a bunch of color on there. Spritz it with some water. And we'll put it right there. Ooh. No, I can't tell the difference. There's absolutely no difference. That's terrible. I want shimmer. I want shimmer on there. Let's try it again. That's better. Maybe I didn't get enough water on it. So you can kind of see the shimmer on that a little bit. It's still wet though. Hi, Carla. Those are sparkle watercolor gel crayons. Metallic colors. Okay. And another thing we probably could do is take the sparkle and add a bunch color to a plastic mat or a silicone mat or a palette or something like that. Spritz it with some water. And dip your stamp into it and stamp that way. It works kinda. You still get a watercolor type of effect. It's not a clear, crisp stamping, but it's something different. It's something fun. Okay, and I don't want that to go to waste. So I've got this page that needs some color to it, so I'm just going to add some water and pick it up. Ooh, you can see some of the shimmer on that. Ah, perfect, perfect. Really good stuff. And I got quite a bit of color, so I'm just going to rub it on this page so none of that color goes to waste. Oops. All right, and something else we can also do. Let's get, what color? Did I use the dark pink or the light pink for that? That was the dark pink. Let's see, what other color can I put on there? Maybe some teal, maybe some of this gold. What is this? I'm not sure what this is. I am going to put some of this on my mat. Get my little brayer out here. I'm going to mist this, add some water to it, and brayer it on. Probably need a little bit more, but that adds some shimmer too. This is one shimmery little piece of paper right here. So that works also. And I did not go down my list, so I don't know how many of these things that I've been showing actually work. So that is interesting there. So I'm putting the shimmers away. Not too far, so I'll remember to come back to those. So I wanted to do some stuff with tube paints, but I wanted to show some other things first, and I want to make sure. I was going to show these guys too, the gelatos, the portfolios. Those are oil pastel, but they're water soluble. They work the same kind of way. We will work with those another time. I wanted to show some things that I did a while back in a video, and I wanted to have enough time to play around with them and show them because they're really kind of cool. And these are done, what I'm going to show you coming up are done with the tube watercolors. I do a lot of things with the tube watercolors. I've got this cheap set, and I've got a couple of others. Some of these I bought just as single tubes so that I would have, you know, the red, the blue, and the yellow. Then I could mix the colors. This one I bought just in purple so I could play around with that. And I've got a whole other set of tubes. I use the tubes most often. And this is what I use them on. I showed my faces a few, let me put that in water so it doesn't dry. A few times ago. And my faces are these kinds of backgrounds. What I did was, I guess I should show you what I did first and then show you some of this stuff, okay? Except I don't have a piece of plastic. Yes, I do. Okay, so here is a dirty piece of plastic. A piece of just plain copy paper, 20-pound, nothing fancy copy paper. And let me use that orange. Oh no, that went right into my water. Let me use that orange since this brush already has orange on it. And it might be, can I squeeze all of it out? Oh, that's too much. All right, let's just save that for later. All right, and then add a little bit of water to it, just a little bit. And I like the tube watercolors because it adds a lot of pigment for this technique. And I need another color to show how to do this. I forgot. Let me use this interesting purple here. Just a little bit of that. A little bit of water in there too. We're going to do some experiments, and we have to let them set and dry for a while. So I'm going to show you how I get the color on the paper, and then I'm going to show you what happens when you let it dry. Okay? This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. All right. So I am going to put this orange down with quite a bit of water. Probably doesn't have enough water, but it will do. I'm probably going to have to do another one because I've got so much paint here. And then I'm going to put some of this other color. I'm dropping it in, trying to get some of those white spaces all covered up. Okay, now I didn't show I forgot about this technique. So I don't have an example of what this looks like when it's dry. But we need to investigate this. And I did show this over a year ago. I'm using just regular clear wrap, plastic wrap. I'm going to use just a little piece of this. If I can get a little piece off. Okay, and I'm going to wrinkle it up a little bit. It's just a piece of plastic wrap. And I am going to put it on half of this. All wrinkly. You want wrinkles in it. Just like that. You want there to be wrinkles because you want the color. There's a piece of color right there that needs to be in there. You want the color to be kind of like that. You want the paint to be trapped by that plastic in wrinkles and that kind of thing, okay? So you want a little bit of contrast so that something will happen. If it's on there straight like that, nothing will happen. So make sure that you're all wrinkly, that the plastic is touching the paint and the paper and all that stuff. On the other side over here, I'm going to use a piece of aluminum foil. And I am going to make sure there's lots of wrinkles in the aluminum foil. Again, the more wrinkles you have, the more texture you're going to have. Alright, so I've got lots of wrinkles. And I'm going to make sure my paint is nice and wet. If it's not wet, it won't work. Okay? And I am going to put that aluminum foil right on there and make sure it is pressed onto that paper. Okay? So, I am going to let this dry. It has to dry completely. You cannot touch it. You cannot peek at it. You cannot do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to visit this on Tuesday, and we'll get the big reveal of what happens with this. I do have a video about this technique. It's one of my favorites. I haven't used it in a while. It takes a lot of time, and it takes area because you do have to let it dry at least overnight. I usually let it dry like 24 hours. I want to make sure it's completely dry before you lift that plastic, or it won't work. It just won't work. All right. So, we'll come back and we'll see what happens on Tuesday with this. But I wanted to show some other stuff, and let me get these paints out of the way so that I don't get wet paint on these other things here. All right. So, the same kind of thing. I've gotten the paper all nice and wet with color, and I did use the same color family. You don't want to make mud. You want, orange and red, orange and yellow. So red and yellow, they make orange. You want either, blues and purples or blues and greens. Kind of just right there in the same color family. And this is what happens. I haven't seen this yet. I did this Friday afternoon. And so this is what I've done. And this has all been wet paint. This was all wet paint. and I put these items into the wet paint and let them dry. So this is what happens with these kinds of things. And I'll tell you what I did with some of this. Look how cool those things are. This is the trivet pot holder thing. You can see the marks. What happens with the wet paint is it gets trapped with whatever you put on it, and as it dries, the pigment is left to stay exactly there. So this is full force pigment that has dried on there. You can see what this did. Isn't that a cool pattern? That's from this. I never used that before. And then here is the little, and that is all that is. And this splash of gold is, I did splash one of the shimmer mist things on top just to see what would happen, and that really did make a really cool effect. So that is done the same exact way. Put the color down on the paper and start putting things on. I did make sure I put books on, like I said, you saw how it all was. I had it all like that. I want to make sure that my objects are in the paint, that touching the paper. That traps all that pigment in between, and as it dries, I put a book on top of all these to make sure that the items were inside touching the paper, and that is what happened there. So let me put these toys away, and we'll go to the next one. Okay, so this one, uh-oh, it's still wet. It is still wet. This has been here since Friday. Let's see if it will work. Here's my fly swatter. Oh, it's going to work, but I think I'd rather let it wait a little bit. Oh. I did have bubble wrap on this side over here. You can see the bubble wrap thing. So it is still, it's pretty shimmery. I had all these stacked on top of each other so they didn't get a lot of air, but you can see what's going on there. I'm going to let it dry for just a little bit longer and come back to it. Here is, oh yeah, that's going to be cool. But it is still wet, so I don't want to mess with it too much, and I'm going to put it right back where it is and let it dry. We'll visit that one on Tuesday too, okay? I probably put a lot of water on it. So here's this one. Is this one dry? This one's still a little wet as well, but I think it's dry enough to see what happened. Here's one of the fun foams with the polka dots. And it is still wet, but it trapped the pigments underneath there very nicely. Look at this little area. Oh, I like that. I'd never used the fun foam with this either, so I'm liking that a lot. Really like that a lot. And here's one of those plastic cross-stitch mesh things. I love bubble wrap, and I think I've got one down here that's all bubble wrap. So this one is still wet. I don't really want to move it. I want it to make sure it dries, and my trays aren't large enough for the whole paper, so I didn't get it all the way to the ends, but it's pretty cool. I'm liking that. So here's another one. And this one I used a stencil. I don't usually use stencils. And I actually put some pieces of paper there to soak up some of the water because it was really, really wet. So those were just some pieces of paper to take up some of that wetness. Okay, it is stuck down there. All right, here we go. And this one I used the metallic acrylic spray. And there's not much of a pattern on there. Okay, it's really stuck in that area. And it's the acrylic paint, I bet. There we go. There we go. So this one's kind of boring. Hi, Jane. Bye, Luana. So we might have to add a little bit more stuff to that one, because that one didn't. I mean, it's a nice variegated kind of thing. So, but it's still kind of boring. I think I'm going to add some more stuff to that. I might want to add, I like this polka dot thing, and I did like this squares thing. And while I am here, I think what I'm going to do is add a little bit of paint to this. Some dark purple, I think. Uh-oh, my purple doesn't want to open. Here we go. To convince it, it wants to open, use the pliers. All right. So I am going to, uh-oh, not on me. Not on me. I put a little bit of purple in there. Wipe off my fingers. Bye, Emma. Muriel. Okay. All right. Add a little bit of water. And do a wash in some areas. And my stuff that I wanted to use. We'll put that there. We'll put that there. And we'll put a little bit of color on top of that. See what happens. Just like that. Okay? Now I'm going to put a book on top of that and let that dry. Okay, we'll look at this Tuesday. I'll put it in a place so it will dry and we'll see what happens. Should I do a spray? Just a quick little spray. Oh, these paints don't always want to work have such trouble with them. You know what I want to do? Of course, the plastic is not down far enough to open up the bottle. I want to add just a little tiny bit. Ooh. Not exactly what I wanted. I wanted it in different places. We'll see what that does. All right. I put a book on there, let it dry. And see what happens on Tuesday. Okay. So, I've got some more to show. Put that away. And here's how I weighted it with books. I put plastic bubble wrap on these pieces, and hopefully they're dry enough to see. So I used 3 different sizes of bubble wrap, and the trick when using the bubble wrap is when you put it on, you can see through the bubble wrap. Make sure that you've got enough pigment that something's going on, that you can see something's going on. If nothing's going on, you need some more contrasty colors. So, get the bubble wrap out of the way. And here's the tiny stuff. I love the tiny stuff. I love the tiny stuff. You can't find the tiny stuff very often, but I love the tiny ones. So, here is what happens when the paint gets trapped by the bubble wrap. This one's one of my favorites. Okay, and it is mostly dry. It's still a little moist, but it is dry enough. And I did use the glitter watercolors on this, so there's a little bit of twinkle. So those are watercolors. And the last one, this is watercolor. This is watercolors. I like to use watercolors. These are all watercolor techniques. All of them, all of them. This is a green on white paper. I also like to use a color paper. I usually would use like a green for this green color, and it would make it more vivid, but it's still pretty nice. Okay, and I'm going to leave this. I had some wax paper down here. I want to do some more of this, and so I'm just going to leave it there for a minute, but I want to show you the other one. The other one, of course, I weighted it down with books, so I knew my stuff was touching the paper. And I used a stencil, and I don't usually use I've never used a letter stencil to do this before. It didn't work really well, but you can see the W. You can see the K kind of. It kind of turned out fun. I kind of like the effect a little bit. And this is plastic cross-stitch mesh. And that turned out really, really nice. I did put some of those sprays in there, the shimmer sprays, and look how cool that turned out. I do like that a lot. So that will be one of the painty papers in the pack. Okay? So I might just leave that one the way it is. I kind of like that. So let's do some more. I've got some purple, and of course I don't have purple paper. I have green paper, I have blue paper. I guess we can put it on pink. Let me use a piece of pink so I can use some of this purple paint up. And the trick is getting quite a bit of water in there so the pigment will move underneath whatever it is you've got there. That's half the battle there, is getting it wet enough. I'm going to use up all this purple paint. Okay, and for the contrast, I am going to use this, I don't know what it is. Pink, red? I don't know. It's a pinky red. Make sure there's enough in there. And I am going to use you know what? I'm going to put a little bit of this shimmer stuff on this one too. Try not to, it doesn't want to drop. It wants to, there we go. Ooh, just some drops here and there. Okay. And I'm going to put this mesh back on there. Like that. And put the books back on for weight. I'm going to put a piece of wax paper so my books don't get icky. And then we'll visit that on Tuesday as well. All right. And this one, what do I have left? I've got some orange. Let's put a piece of yellow paper down. And use up some of these colors I've got left over. I don't have very many of them. using up this paint. And then I'm going to use up this pink. I need 3 hands. Is that possible? Can we get 3 hands here, please? Let's get 3 hands. Water on there. Let's get some of that purple too, since it wants to drip. Okay, so I've used up all that paint. And I'm not going to munch it around. I am just going to put the bubble wrap on it and kind of wiggle it around. And maybe use some of this purple shimmer because the spray nozzle has gone. Actually, I can put it in another bottle. Let's put it in another bottle and spray some of that. Oops. See what happens. Spray it in some places that don't have anything. Kind of like that. And then put my weights on it and wait to see what happens. Now I can see that the pigments are they're gathering in the wrinkles, so I know that something's going to happen. I can see the paint. See the paint. Okay? So it will be a little interesting to see what happens. Get the edges. To see what happens. On Tuesday. And I am going to weight it with books while it dries. All right. So that is that. Those are some things that I do with tube paints. I've got messes going on here. I do other things too. So I didn't get a list going while I did all this. Sorry. And I will have to clean that bottle out. And we can do just a couple more little things. Let me clean that up too. Since we have just a couple minutes. This one is so boring. It feels like it needs something more. So I'm looking for my, no, here's a bubble wrap toy. It's just a piece of a stamp block with a piece of this bubble wrap, the tiny little bubble wrap, joined so that I can hang on to it. It's got a staple in it so that I can hang on to it. And I think what I'm going to do is put a little watercolor. Get it out here since I've already got it all dirty. Put a little bit of watercolor in there. Oh, I need it on, no, I'll just brush it on. Some water in there. And brush it on my bubble wrap and stamp with it. Too much water. Just to give it something interesting going on. We didn't do any stamping with watercolors, not a lot. I do like to stamp with watercolors. Some thicker foam to press into the letters. I probably could do that, yeah. So that gives it a little bit more interest. I want some sparkle on there though. So I think what I might do is, do I want to spray it with some of this? Everything else got some of this. That'll be pretty. Just a little bit of sparkle. A tiny bit of sparkle, and I'll let that dry. What's going on? Hello, Margaret. I guess I will catch up on what's going on in chat here later. I've been a little involved in playing with this stuff. So I'm kind of at a stopping point, and I've got a mess going on here. And we got papers to visit on Tuesday. Hopefully they will dry by then. I will not stack them on top of each other so that they will dry nicely. And I'm liking the way this one's turning out now. You can see the letters a little bit. Not all of them showed up, but the bubble wrap just added enough interest. And the gold little shimmery spray that is, I'm just going to let that dry. Okay? And that's going to be one of the painted papers. All right, so we've got quite a few going on here. I want to do some more with the bubble wrap because this is one of my favorite things to do. And I might have to add a little bit more interest to those too, because that's kind of, the white paper is distracting me, I think. Too much of the white is showing through. So let me put that in a place where it can dry. And we'll just leave it at that. I'm sorry I didn't give you a list of things. I'm hoping to kind of get a list of things to make the prompt tags with for watercolors. I'm hoping to get that done with all of them. Have a great big master sheet of watercolors. But if you're looking for a list, let me name some of the watercolor prompts that I have on my cards so that you can get a head start, because I know a lot of people are doing these cards and I haven't had a chance to work on mine. You all bought sparkles. So the prompts are watercolors, apply a watercolor wash, and then spritz or drop another color on top for contrast. You can use a watercolor wash and drop another color into the wet wash to make it do the starlight, star bright things. Hi, Ada. You can use watercolors, randomly add colors so that they bleed into each other. I don't know if I actually did that one, but it is one of them. Put a watercolor wash down with a brush and then put really wet blobs of watercolors in a contrasting color and tilt the page to make the drips. Watercolor crayons blended with gesso. Watercolor crayons blended with a dry finger. Watercolor crayons with a damp brush. You want to see me with 3 hands? I do too. I'd really like that myself. You can use, and I don't think I did this either, you can use the watercolor crayons and draw lines or circles and then use a spray ink on top, and that softens the crayons. Or use your fingers to blend. And we made a rubbing with a wax crayon, and then we did a color wash over that rubbing to bring it out. So those are some of the things that are on my cards that I didn't get out there. Another one, and I don't have any of those crayons out. Here's the sparkle ones. Another thing that you could do, I showed how to put some color on a rubber stamp. And how to stamp with watercolors. Let me put some circles here. And you can spritz that with water to soften those up. I think this will work, yeah. To watercolor, make them really watercolory. So there's some things to do with the watercolors. There's so many more. Sorry, I didn't have enough time to get through all of them. Okay. I did want to say before I left that I have figured out a new method or another method to making circle stamps. Now, here's some various circle stamps that I have made here in the last couple of days. 2 of these are the Hero Arts, but only 2 are this stamp. You probably can tell which 2 those are. The other ones I made. So I think I finally have cracked the code of making the stamp. Okay? So we will talk about that at a later date, but I did want to show some of that. I started to do squares as well, but I didn't get them all stamped, so I can't show a whole lot of those. But I've got a lot of different squares and some triangles done with that kind of thing. So I'm really excited about getting into the circles. But I think that this is the code is correct. Hero Arts can have their stamp, their discontinued stamp that they don't want to bring back. So we're going to visit this at a later date. Like I said, I just wanted you guys to see the circle stamps in the making. Hi, Shelley. Yes, I have been making some new circle stamps. And I want to do some more. I didn't get a chance to do a whole lot. I went to Legoland yesterday. And I played like a little kid. And I got some Legos. I got a whole bunch of Legos. They were selling them by the pound. So I got a whole baggie full of little things that I can use for paint and stuff. And I got a couple of the bigger blocks to do some stamping with. And so I got some new toys. Had to get some new toys at Legoland. And I got to show him, I got a new friend. Can you see him? Can you see him? He's a Batman with a wand and a tutu and his little ballerina shoes. Isn't he cute with his wings? I couldn't resist him. He had to come home with me. Yeah, I spent the day at Legoland. I didn't get any work done. But I have a new little friend. So that is Mr. Batman. His pink side. That's Batman's pink side. So I got another friend too. You want to see the other friend? This little guy, he's wearing a flippers and a rubber ducky. What do you call those? Floaty, and he's holding a fish, or she is. Yep, I got some little fun little toys. So we will be visiting the circles after I get it together. And thanks so much for being here and spending some time with me. And sorry we didn't get a whole lot done in the Anything Goes book today, but I really wanted to get the prompt cards going, and we did some experiments in this book. I'm kind of curious of how much those pages are going to wrinkle, because they're really thin pages in here. And you know, they didn't wrinkle a whole lot. That is pretty flat. That's a whole lot more flat than I thought they were going to be. It really is a lot. They're not as wrinkled as I thought they were going to be at all. They got some sprinkles to them, some little glitter. It's glitter watercolors. Do you see that do they sparkle? You can't see the sparkle. You can't see the sparkle. But this was some of our experiments today, just to see what would happen with some of the colors. So you love the bubble wrap? Yeah. I will try to remember to link some of these bubble wrap techniques I have done in another video more than a year ago, and it's called Watercolor Techniques. It shows exactly how I put the paint on and stuff. Again, some other examples of these kinds of papers. So happy Sunday, and I will be back next week. Next week we will actually work more in the Anything Goes book. I've got some pages to finish up. It's almost finished. I've almost not got any pages to do anything with. So I'll be able to go to my next Anything Goes book. I'm excited. I'm excited to go to another book. And we'll do a flip through of this one and show how just playing around and not doing anything serious can actually make something kind of cool. So, yes, he is in touch with his feminine side. Yes. So, I think that's all I have to say. We're going to visit the circle stamps. I got to work all that out first. I am working on painted papers. I know a lot of you want the painted paper packs. I'm working like crazy to try to get that done. Got a couple more to add now. These will be in the painted paper packs, along with some other ones. And this one too. That one turned out kind of cool. Kind of like that. Get that dried up. It's still got a wet spot there. And I'll let that one dry up too. That'll be good. And we got some papers to visit on Tuesday. I'm excited to see what happens with those papers that we made today. I really like that polka dot foam. That polka dot foam really, I love that little pattern right there. Really like that. So it'll be nice to see. And the leaf stamps. You want some tutorials on the leaf stamps. You like the leaf stamps too? All right. So I will see you all on. Hi, Marilyn. Sure, you can do that. You can post your circle stamps in the Art Experiments group. The Art Experiments group on Facebook. The link is down in the description box below. If you would like to join, you need to ask to join. Answer a couple questions so we know you're a real person and not somebody who's trying to get away with something that we don't want you to get away with. We just want like-minded people in our group. We want to know that everybody is on the same page and we're doing the same kinds of things, creating stuff. So if you answer a few questions, we know that you are one of us and we will let you in the group. So that link is below. If you would like to look at my Patreon page, that link is below also. I've got videos going up here in a few days, some more videos going up on the Patreon page. There is a public video over there if you want to take a look and see what it's all about. And if you like this video or you want me to do more videos like this showing these kinds of things, please press the thumbs up, the like button, so I know it's something that you want to see more of. It gives me an idea of what to do in the future. So, thank you all for spending some time with me. It's been fun. Thank you so much. And I think that's it. I'm over my time. I'm over my time. Not a real person? Well, you know, not a real one of us is what I want to say. Not a real. We want people that are like-minded, that fit in with the group. We don't want pornographers, you know. We don't want those. Those are not real people. Thanks so much, Marilyn. Thank you. Susan, you know, I'm hoarse already. Can you imagine what I would be like in 8 hours? Thanks, Muriel. One day I'll give it a try. I don't know, 8 hours. I don't have enough stuff around me to last me for 8 hours. I would be a mess. I would be a big old mess. So I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Hi, Tina. Thank you so much. I'm going to say goodbye, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. Oh, and you know, I should, before I completely end, if you want to send stuff for the Fibs book, if you want your own page in the Fibs book, I will put in the link below also an address to send some stuff, and I will make a page for you. All right. I would like to fill up all the pages with people's collages. I think that would be really kind of fun to have a whole book with everybody else's stuffs in it. All right. Bye.